Hi, I'm here with my colleague and friend John Shulman. I'm Jude Barry, and we're two of the co-founders of VoterPros, which helps candidates at all levels, particularly new candidates, run for office and do it effectively. So one of the most important things we get asked in campaigns we've worked on is questions about copy. And this can be a pretty touchy subject because people like to say a lot, John, in a campaign, and they like to put a lot on mailers. And that's not necessarily effective, is it?
No, I like to follow the axiom that less is more with copy. You know, in mail, most people aren't going to read front and back of your mail piece that you send. They want to get some big headlines. They want to see some great images. They want to be able to get an idea of who you are, why you're running, what you're going to do for them, but they don't want a lot of words. They're not going to spend a lot of time reading. So if you can say something in 3 words, and feel like you want to spend 20 words saying it, don't. Stop.
Right.
Use short sentences and get to the point.
Right. Yeah. My advice is be Hemingway, not Dostoevsky. You know, you're not going to have someone's attention for a long time. It's a busy media environment we live in, and that means that people are seeing all kinds of information from all kinds of sources, and you've really got to get to the point as clearly and concisely as possible.
That's right.
So let's talk about one of the questions I often get asked is, do you need a slogan?
I think slogans are helpful. I think any way you can simplify who you are, why you're running, in a few short words is great. You want people, I think most of the major elections, president, governor, senate, they have a slogan. And they really want to communicate why they want your vote and why it matters right now. So if you're running and you're running against an incumbent, you're probably going to talk about changing the existing system some way. So sometimes you see candidates say vote for me, Joe Smith, for a change, or to turn our city around, or something very simple that communicates the message of change.
But do you always have a slogan? Because I think it's very hard to come up with a slogan, and people sometimes try too hard. It doesn't work. So what percentage of campaigns do you work on that really come up with a slogan that works?
I think the majority of my campaigns.
Really? Well, you're good then.
We have slogans. I think at the end of the day, it may not be anything that's enormously creative or innovative, but you want to use a word or a couple of words that really communicate the essence of your values and your message. I think it's important. But we have to have a lot of campaigns where we don't use a slogan. But again, you know, I think if you can sum it up in very few words, who you are, why you're running, that's really helpful.
Yeah, so I think the exercise of coming up with a slogan is probably more valuable than actually coming up with a slogan, because it really forces you to try to focus, because you can't say 10 things. You need to say 1, 2, maybe 3. And trying to come up with a slogan does that. That being said, campaign should not feel pressure to come up with a great slogan, something that's going to win an award or capture the attention of your district or the universe. Just come up with a slogan that makes sense, be clear and concise, and you'll have done your campaign a great service just by focusing. I think that's the lesson I've learned from the campaigns I've worked on.
I think that's right, and also depends on the race you're running, the office you're seeking. You know, if you're running for a school board race, talking about putting children first might be a message that resonates with folks. It might be a little different if you're running for a state representative or Congress. You might not want to focus so narrowly on the education piece. On the other hand, that might be the biggest concern of your district. You've got to get out there and figure out what voters want to hear from candidates and be able to focus your message, whether it's your slogan or your message, on that.
Okay, so let's get past slogan and talk about copy itself.
Sure.
How much is too much? What's the right amount of copy?
It really depends on the format of mailer you've decided to choose. If you have a large multi-page mailer, I think you can probably have a few more words than if you have a simple small postcard. At the end of the day, I think what's really important is you sum up the words. You take a paragraph, but sum it up in a headline. that people might not read the paragraph, but at least they'll get the headline. For example, you say, you know, I'm John Schulman, I'm running for Congress, and I have 3 reasons why I'm running: jobs, education, public safety. I may fill in the gaps with some details about each of those subject matters, but at least I'm hitting the key headlines, which I think most voters will read.
One of the exercises I like to engage in is to let people know that for a billboard, the optimal number of words is about 6, maybe 8 words, because if someone's driving, they're not going to be able to read a lot, right? Or unless you're in traffic like in Los Angeles, you're not going to be sitting in front of a billboard a long time. So that's a great exercise for a brochure, is can you say something like a billboard in a few number of words, 6 to 8 words. You can elaborate with the hopes that people will spend more time reading more because you've captured their attention. But you've really got to focus on the headlines, and you've really got to focus on really capturing people's attention with as few words as possible. And think billboard, not book, when you write.
I think that's right. It's books are great, but you don't have that much time. You don't have attention spans of voters. They've got busy lives, so they want to get right to the point. And as you said, think billboard. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Okay, so let me ask you one final question that I think will help candidates, particularly new candidates. How many people should be involved in writing a brochure? You start first.
How many people? The less.
Yes, okay. We agree.
Coming back to that theme, less is more. Too many cooks in the kitchen can create something that I think will be potentially disjointed, and you compromise words, you start compromising your values. I mean, you as a candidate need to get out there and tell people how you feel. And I think your authenticity is going to be expressed through your words, not someone else's. So to the extent possible, use your own words. And if it needs a little wordsmithing from some friends, that's great, but less is more.
I agree. My advice is the candidate should be the writer, and find someone who's good with words, who's the editor. But if you try to do something by committee, you come up with just the jumble, and you're trying to make everybody happy, and ultimately the voter will be confused, and it's not a great product.
Well, and the candidate will be confused because sometimes it's difficult to really get passionate about someone else's words. So stick to your heart, stick to your values, come up with the words, and you'll be a better candidate, better off for it.
That's great advice. Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you.